government obeys.
KFUG Community Radio. Hey, good morning. It is 33 minutes past 10. Paul Critz with you. And we've got something special happening right now. Just a couple of weeks back, the Yurok Tribe secured a grant, something to the tune of $30 million. It is the Promise Neighborhoods Grant. And just a big, big deal. There were only, I believe, like 7 of these grants awarded. It was a federal grant. 7 of these grants awarded. The only Indian tribe to get any of these funds, the Yurok Tribe, right here in Del Norte County. I am joined live over Zoom, if all goes according to plan, by Terry Supahan from the True North Organizing Network and Jim McQuillen, Education Director for the Yurok Tribe. We're going to discuss this grant and just what these funds will be used for. Fellas, are you there? Can you hear me?
We're here. I can hear you, Paul.
Hey, it works. Yay. Terry and I were talking right before we went live about all the things that could go wrong with Zoom, and it seems we've dodged all of those. So, Jim, let me just start with you. $30 million, it's over the course of what, 5 years?
Mm-hmm. Yes, very much so. Yuroks would say Skuyanukoi, so good morning, in the language of the Yurok people. And I know we're probably transmitting from Wiyot territory in the Humboldt Bay area, but greetings from the Yurok people. I'm up on Tolowa grounds here up in the north in Del Norte. But we're very excited this morning to share out a new resource that we've received at the Yurok Tribe with our partners, and it's called the Promise Neighborhood Grant. We've gone after this before, and it's really great that we were one of the winners in this very competitive process with the grant writing team that worked very hard to bring in these new resources into the north here, into Del Norte County to start with, into the Yurok Tribe to help kids and families. You know, they call it the cradle to career service support, you know, with about 16 other partners in the grant up here in Del Norte. You know, we're very excited about it, to launch additional resources. And what not a better week to do this on Indigenous Peoples Day and Indigenous Peoples Week. So we say happy Indigenous Peoples Day to everyone. I know some people are at home and have the day off because of that, but a new grant totaling almost $30 million divided by 5 years, where all of our partners will also receive some of those resources to help children and families in the area to be all they can be. And I also have Terry Supahan here with our True North Organizing Network that was a major partner in helping to achieve this grant. Yes, only 7 in the nation got it. We were the only tribe in the nation that scored very high, one of the highest scores, I'm told, in the grant process. Oh, wow. And it's very competitive as these grants go. I once had an English teacher tell me that you'll never be a writer, and you know, and, the grant writing team really is responsible for achieving that. I can't say that I'm a writer yet, but some of my ideas got put in there. We're very happy and pleased to bring more resources to try to close that achievement gap between many students of color and the rest of the pack. So thank you.
So I want to get into specifics, and I see the graphic on the web doc that we have here that kind of breaks down the 5, you know, the different times, you know, the 0 to 5 years and what programs will be used and will utilize these funds. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of this, I know that getting a grant is never an easy thing, and especially I just imagine it's, you know, going up to $30 million. It's an even bigger thing. Terry, how did True North facilitate this grant?
We brainstormed first, Paul. What crazy group, what brave group of folks would be willing to lean into this, and we thought about not only different organizations that could be a part of it, but also which organizations might have the administrative infrastructure to take it all on. And as we've been saying in discussions and thank yous, quite honestly, going back around to the Yurok Tribe, the Delaware County Board of Supervisors, the City of Crescent City, the Board of Directors for and Council at the Northern California Indian Development Council. From the very beginning, when we asked all these different groups and community partners, 17 in all, to get together, and from the Yurok Tribe, from the Tribal Council at the very beginning, lending their support and approval for the concept, because it started out, Paul, with this idea, this crazy dream we could do this in a short amount of time. The fact that adults led with their heart and then with their brain, that they said, yes, this would be great for our kids. And we really feel we built on the data and the relationships that were developed in building healthy communities over a decade. And we could take that and run with it. And I have to say, in addition to all the different community partners that acted like adults and putting the best interests of children, all children, not just Yurok kids or Native American children, but all children, to improve our public schools, that people leaned into it from the very beginning. And when we asked Congressman Huffman for a letter of support to include in the application, I hadn't even thought of it. None of us had, because, again, this is dreaming big. And sometimes it's hard to, when someone says dream big, when you're used to going one foot in front of you one day at a time, it's sometimes hard to imagine what seems impossible. And we got back Congressman Huffman's letter of support, and he didn't write it just as a letter of support. He wrote the letter to the Secretary of the United States Department of Education and gave us a copy to include in the application. And we said, wow, that's you the congressman sent the letter to the secretary. That was impressive. And it was just impressive to see the process and people getting along, collaborating, working creatively and with detail and attention. We had meetings in the evenings and Saturdays and Sundays right up to the Monday deadline. So it was impressive to see so many people come together to do this.
That's amazing. I've forgotten almost what it's like to live in a world where people can get together and act as adults and achieve something. That's fantastic. So Terry, how much like of the, I guess this is for both of you. The grant and the way the Yurok Tribe wants to use the grant very much, focuses, of course, as you say, on the cradle to career and college pathway to sort of facilitate, kids growing up successfully. Was that the focus of the grant initially, or was that something that you garnered from listening to the community about what was needed?
Jim can add on to this, but I think it was always the focus, and quite honestly, and we still have hopes and dreams of going with this effort and this concept upriver, up the Klamath River, and throughout coastal Humboldt as well, because we started out talking to the Yurok Tribal Council thinking that $30 million could reach a number of our schools. But experts told us right from the beginning that we should start small and grow out from there. And so that's what we're doing. And Jim and I really want to stress that this in Congress is a bipartisan effort with both Republicans and Democrats supporting this program, because they've seen that it's worked and it's been proven. The outcomes have proven that it's worked. That if you give children and families and communities a part in the educational system from the very beginning, before they even go into public school, guess what? You can find out. You can see those improvements later on in their educational career. So we're all excited because we believe that not only that this is a grant for 5 years, we think, again, building on the 10 years of healthy communities and the investment by the California Endowment, we think that there's going to be 5 years of this Promised Neighborhood. And we really think that it's going to continue, because most Promised Neighborhood grantees in the state of California have continued past their initial grant. So this is new money that we hope we can build on in the future.
So you mean, as far as continuing, securing more grant funding after this?
Yeah, it seems to have its own momentum, not only from Promised Neighborhoods, but people want to be a part of success. And when when grantees and funders and foundations and other agencies are looking to support it, what the small amount of research and quick assessment that we've done from other grantees throughout California indicates that those programs were able to stay funded.
That's hopeful. I mean, that's something that you want. It's you can come and spend $30 million and hopefully build the infrastructure that can continue on. But part of that,
Paul, you made me think of just a really quick story, but bringing in some of the 0 to 5 caregivers and educators and professionals in Del Norte tribal lands into this process. I mean, one administrator who I won't embarrass over your public airwaves, but when we said, if you were to get $1 million, what could you do with it? And they started to cry.
Oh, wow. Why?
Because they were so touched by the awesomeness of saying, "You mean new money to help kids?" That would be amazing. So it was more tears of joy than anything else, but it was a cracking moment, I think, for all of us on that Zoom call, was how vulnerable all of us could be with one another and say, yeah, what could we do? What could be possible?
That's impressive. And the fact too, I mean, not just being vulnerable, but it's a chronic need up here, just underfunded, and support for kids and for education too, just to see that break in somebody's face. That had to be something. Jim,
yep.
Can you speak at all, Jim, to the kind of the nuts and bolts? I'm looking at the graphic that came in an email, I think, from Kevin today. But it was the Klamath Promise Neighborhood, a river of opportunity, and it's broken down like birth to 5 years, elementary school, middle and high school, and then college and career. And there's a number of things here, starting with prenatal classes and going all the way up to what are we looking at into certifying and college stuff for later kids. It just it is quite literally cradle to college and career. Can you break down some of the nuts and bolts, some of the programs that will benefit from these funds?
Yes. Thank you, Paul. Yeah, there's something in there for everyone. Again, trying a river of services and opportunities is what we titled the grant. That was Elsie McLaughlin's title that she came up with. But we asked our partners, what do they need? What are we missing? We know resources help. We're sort of, we have a lot of issues in Humboldt, Del Norte counties. We tend to, end up last or first at the top of the list on some of these things we don't want to be overrepresented in. But we need a lot of resources. So we asked the partners, where are they lacking? Where are the holes? And we heard from our early childhood education partners that, there are lots of people looking for childcare, lots of people looking for resources. We know some of the strategies that work, that we need to get those strategies out to families, out to the consumers, of early literacy and resources and those little tips for parents. There's a app that can send a text to all families and parents, new parents, about little strategies and tips for the day. We want to get that accessible to everyone. Something up here in Del Norte, they have this bus called the Wonder Bus that can get out to the remote parts of the community. We want to get a second bus rolling. I'd like to see that bus be culturally sensitive, where there's language materials from the tribes up here, and culturally appropriate materials on that bus get out to people, and books and early literacy. We know some of our hard to reach communities are difficult to reach. And then we've asked our school, K-12 school partners, Del Norte Schools and the County Office of Ed, what are they missing? We know they're a specialist, and a shout out to all our frontline workers, of our teachers and educators, but we know they're hard to find those experts who can help with mental health and behavioral issues. You're going to see some additional resources going out to the schools to try to find those professionals. But additional specialists to help kids with counseling and mental health in the schools here locally. And then our partners in the high school and the community college of the Redwoods, not every kid needs to go to college. The CTE, career technical education, we need to look at how we can help there with these resources. We need those plumbers, carpenters, mechanics, fishermen, and those CTE areas, heavy equipment. Shout out to our councilman, Phil Williams, really pushed for this area to make sure we're covering the career technical education aspects of it and filling the gaps there. We know with dam removal coming and the need for heavy equipment operators is very high. So there'll be a component there. I think we wrote in enough for a teacher in that area, as well as looking at the other needs of career technical education. There's something in there for everyone. And we know since we wrote this grant, some of those gaps may have been filled or changed. There's flexibility here to meet some of those needs. And it's just great to bring additional resources to the community to help out, and we're very excited about implementing. We're in kind of a planning phase now, and the resources start kicking in January of 2022. Just great, and such a great launch of this too during Indigenous Peoples Week. I'm just so proud of that. We're in kind of a new time now. We're changing the names of parks and a new time. Maybe some land back will be coming next, but it's an exciting time for tribes to maybe get to some healing of what happened in our area. President Biden did a proclamation over the weekend, the first United States president to mention Indigenous Peoples Week and Day, and we have over 100 cities who are now celebrating Indigenous Peoples Day. So what a great time to announce these new resources. So thank you.
Oh yeah, it isn't. Yeah, it couldn't be more poetic. I agree. So what's happening tomorrow then with the news, the press conference?
We're having a Zoom or virtual press conference with as many of our community collaborative partners that can show up at 12 o'clock p.m. 12 o'clock p.m. tomorrow. Yurok Tribal Chairman Joe James will open with some words, and Yurok Tribal member and True North leader Oscar Jensaw will close. And in between, we're hoping that many of our elected officials and public supporters of Promise Neighborhoods and Klamath Promise are going to come and do a victory lap with us, just to be able, Paul, sometimes you just got to stand up and cheer and say, God, that was awesome. So we're hoping everybody can get together and just exchange some smiles and words before we roll up our sleeves in January and get down to the planning work and the nitty gritty and getting on with it. But right now, we all want to just celebrate a little bit.
Oh, understandable. And yeah, you're right. $30 million. That's not the end of the story. Now the work really begins.
$30 million of new money into our region, bringing over 60 new jobs that are planned and budgeted to work in our schools and with our parents and our community. It is exciting.
So we will be carrying this press conference, the Zoom press conference, tomorrow live on KFUG at noon. So if you'd like to join in, any of our listeners who want to join in for that victory lap, you're welcome to tune in and do that. That'll be tomorrow at noon. So Terry and Jim, thank you so much for your time today. Is there anything that we didn't get around to talking about? Anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to make sure gets said?
I think, well, we said it already. We just really want to stress and point out to all your listeners that this is community-wide, and even though the Yurok Tribe led it for our region, that it will serve all children, and I know that the Northern California Indian Development Council has a new education center plan to work in the community of Smith River and with all the residents in Smith River and in the northern part of the county and with the Tolowa Nation. So just wanted to stress that that we all should be get a little excited about it.
I think so. All righty. Jim, anything you'd like to add?
I'm just looking forward to continuing to work with all our partners, the school districts, local schools, our families, of course, are true partners in this. And, coming out of what we've been coming out of the past year and a half, we need the good news, and this is worth celebrating over, and looking forward to all the working with the partners and new partners in the future with this resource. It's all of our resource. It's a community resource now, the Promised Neighborhood Grant. So Yurok would say, walk thou, and thank you.
That's beautiful, and thank you, and congratulations. Terry Supahan from he's the Executive Director for the True North Organizing Network, and Jim McQuillen, Education Director for the Yurok Tribe. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, and we'll be running the lap with you tomorrow at noon.
Excellent.
All right.
KFUG. Stick it in your ear.